pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. With that, we'll have roll call.
Mayor Bain.
Here.
Councilor Burrell. Here. Councilor Lundstrom.
Here.
Councilor Scalise.
Here.
Councilor Sherman. Here. Councilor Spradlin.
Here.
Councilor Strauss.
Here. Okay, number 3, approval of agenda for the regular meeting tonight, October 11th. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, I look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, who was first? Councilor Strauss, second. Councilor Scalise. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Burrell. Yes. Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilor Strauss.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, number 4, approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes in your packet. One for the regular meeting. Thank you. One for the regular meeting of September 27th. Another set for the special meeting of October 6th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from either of those meetings? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and combine the motion for both meetings. I'd look for a motion from council.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the
Second.
minutes and second. We have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Councilor Strauss.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Burrell. Yes. Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to public comment. Is there anyone that would like to publicly comment tonight? Rick, was that a move?
I thought about talking about something, but I decided not to.
Okay. All right, moving on to management. First up, 6A, we have a public hearing for a post-award hearing for the Ebenezer Elevator Grant, and we have staff report from Joanne Gosling, Finance Director.
So, I don't know how many months ago it was, but several months ago, we did have one public hearing when we were going into the process of installing and getting the grant from DOLA on the Ebenezer elevator. And that was about the time we accepted the bid and stuff. So I recently found out that before the project is ended, I need to have another public hearing. So this public hearing is just for anyone to step forward and give comments on the elevator since it's put in. And I lost my train of thought and I apologize. So that's all it's for, is for any comment. The elevator is done, it is up and running. We had it in the paper last week for the public hearing notice, and then those who use it are the ones at Ebenezer, and so Shelley was going to put a public notice in there as well to see if anybody wanted to come and comment tonight. So it's just tidying up the grant and
Okay.
trying to get the grant finalized so we can finish that grant.
Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and open this up. We don't have Ebenezer, anyone from Ebenezer here?
No, Shelley did not make it.
Okay.
She had
So we
other
don't have the
commitments.
applicant present. I'll open it up for public testimony if the public would like to publicly comment on the grant. Okay, hearing none. Are there any final questions from council on this
I
post?
was going to make one comment. Joanne, can you just run over the dollar figures real quick? Because this was a grant program that we normally don't use too often,
Correct.
but it was an opportunity to help out Ebenezer.
Correct.
But also, we were using it as kind of a practice for our own staff to go through this type of grant, because someday we might need this for a larger project, and it'll be good to know the steps and everything. But can you tell the financials and how it benefited Ebenezer?
So the grant was it was a CDBG grant from the state of Colorado, processed through DOLA. And it ended up being, we were the pass-through for Ebenezer because they did not qualify on their own to go directly through. It has to be a local government. So the grant itself was for $90,000. The total cost of the project was $114,000. So the difference, then Ebenezer paid that difference. And it was to install. When they built that particular building, they didn't have enough money to put in both of the elevators. They only got one put in. And this gave them the ability to put in that second elevator. So it is installed. It is, the CDBG grants are way harder and a lot more bells and hoops that you have to jump through compared to any normal DOLA grant, I will tell you that. You need lots of time for them,
Yeah.
lots of reading.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Okay, thank you, Joe. With that, I would look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilor Scalisi to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilor Spradlin. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Guerrero?
Yes.
Mayor Bay?
Yes. Okay, moving on to 6B, ratification of workers' comp and property casualty claims for 22, also Joanne Gusling.
So normally I would bring these workers' comp quotes and property casualty quotes to council in the month of September for council to sign off on and to have the mayor sign it for us. However, I failed to get it on the council meeting or the last council meeting of the month, so I do apologize for that. I did do my normal memo. We needed to have it signed and backed into SIRSA by by September 30th. It is okay for Monty to sign it. It's a signature of the mayor or manager. And so we went ahead and we had Monty sign it, but we still wanted to bring it to council and make you aware of the two different quotes. Workers' comp actually increased by $201 between 2021 and 2022. So that was pretty exciting because that's the one that usually always gave us the most grief. And then property casualty, it increased by $12,785, which is significantly lower than 2019's increase was. So both of them were, I was pleased to get both of them. Property casualty was pretty normal, and then the workers' comp was really good. And so with that, we are asking that council does ratify the property casualty and workers' comp quotes.
Okay.
Okay?
Any questions? Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion.
Are we moving to ratify the workman's comp and, I move we ratify the workman's comp and property casualty rates for 2022.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilor Strauss seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Guerrero?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Mayor Bay?
Yes. It's a good thing you stayed up there.
I
2022.
intended to.
6C, the 2022 budget presentation. Joanne Gosling, Finance Director.
Thank you. By state statute, it states that the city, the local government will present a budget to their council by October the 15th. This budget doesn't have to be a complete budget, it could be a one-page budget. What I have given you is the budgets for the general fund and the 5 enterprise funds. Those are the main funds. We have smaller funds, but they don't do as much as the other funds. And I have did the recap of where they sit right now, and like the general fund estimate for the end of the year is looking very good. But that's what I'm doing this evening, is just presenting this to council in order to follow the state statute and guidelines of that statute.
Okay, so there's no action we have to take on
We
this?
don't have to take any action, I just need to present it.
Okay, what are our next steps?
So the next council meeting, we will have, the capital improvement, presentations by the department heads and what they're wanting for 2022. We try to get them to give us items through 2025, but the only budget you're approving is the 2022 budget. So next council meeting, they'll come in and present their 2022 capital requests.
Okay.
Some of them you've heard before, and they've got moved back a year, but most of them will be new to the council.
Okay.
Okay, and then after that, well, somewhere in there, we have to do a compensation, meeting to get guidance from council on compensation. And then after that, the next thing would be our budget retreat, which is November the 10th. And I think that's a Wednesday. It's either a Tuesday or Wednesday. We shifted it a little bit because of
It's a
Veterans Day.
It's a Wednesday.
Yeah. And we usually do that in here, and we usually do supper and do the budget retreat.
And typically, approval of the final budget, usually around the first meeting in
The
December.
first council meeting in December, because
Okay.
you have to have a final budget approved by December the 15th, or you lose a percentage of your budget expenses for the next year through the state.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 7, finance.
Ooh, that's me. I move we approve disbursements and payroll from September 27th to October 11th, 2021 in the amount of $643,134.51.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilor Lundstrom seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Burrell,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Mayor Bay.
Yes. Okay, moving on to staff reports. We'll start staff reports. Let's hold all our feedback back until each staff member's completed their report, and then they can take questions. So, Rick, would you like to start off?
I have no staff report today.
Well, that was quick. Okay. Chief of Police Derek Boss.
I'm worried about Rick's health.
I got plenty to talk later.
Just very surprised. Just a couple things. I know at the last council meeting you asked about mental health statistics. We're still digging through that. We ran into a few issues with how dispatch logs them. So parsing the data together has been pretty difficult. We don't have a specific mental health entry through dispatch. So we're spending some time looking at welfare checks, medical calls, other calls for service, so we can get you a very accurate picture. So I apologize I don't have it yet, but hopefully by the next council meeting. It's taken a lot more time than we realized it would. Also, our animal calls for service are rapidly increasing. Our shelter has been full to capacity and beyond since basically May. We emptied it out once, and that lasted about 8 hours. So we're looking at developing a fostering program right now. One of the challenges we're facing is normally where we take animals, Dumb Friends League in Denver is also full. So we can't bring animals to them for them to adopt them out. So we're trying to put together an animal foster program yet this year, but I'm not sure how long it'll take to get that organized and get that implemented. And then the last thing I have, just really a kudos to our guys, but we had a SWAT operation yesterday, and we have a very substantial drone team here in Brush, and we utilized drones for the first time, actually entering a residence before officers went in to clear the residence, which is just pretty awesome to be able to do that. Rather than put officers in harm's way, we used, $500 piece of plastic that's very replaceable, and that was very successful. So I'm very happy with our team and proud of their performance yesterday. Certainly some glitches. Drapes and drones don't mix, but got some learning points, so we'll do better next time. But it was great to be able to do that. So that's all I've got.
Any questions?
You ever talked to Pam Steiner about the animals? I know she works a lot with that kind of thing. Does Steiner Civils?
I have not directly. I know Lisa has interacted with her quite a bit, and I know we talked to her about some cats not that long ago, and she was kind of at her max as well. So. But
Cool.
How's it going with staffing?
we're struggling. We had an offer out, and we're most of the way through the background, and then that person declined the position today. So that set us back a little bit, obviously. I do have two other candidates that we are going further with the process, interviews later this week, and then another one probably in 2 weeks. So I'm optimistic on those, but
Are you still
I
at
don't
3
know.
openings?
we still have, yes ma'am, 3 openings.
And do you still have people out on leave or medical?
I have 2 out on medical still.
Okay.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Dale Colrick, Director of, Dale Colrick.
One item, it goes back to we're wrapping up the sidewalk project. We're gonna be striping tomorrow. We still got a little bit of landscaping, but for the most part, couple more tie-ins, but we're almost done with that project. So it's looking good. One way of measuring its success is before and after pictures. We have a before picture where we have a guy in a little electric scooter going down the highway with a big old semi cattle truck right behind him. I didn't get the picture, however, success to me means when this guy is still on his electric scooter going down the sidewalk with 2 tethers pulling guys on skateboards.
There you go.
So, it's been good, so that's it. All right.
Oh, I want to say, just yesterday, in fact, it was great. I was driving through town, going to the east. I saw 3 high school kids walking side by side on that sidewalk, you know, and that we never had the room to do that before. So I mean, that was great.
I see a lot of individuals both walking as well as using the electric scooters on
Yeah.
on the sidewalk now. So
Yeah,
it's
and I
very
haven't seen
encouraging.
I haven't seen an electric scooter on the street. So hopefully
Okay.
that's not gonna.
So
Thank you.
Dell, a little
Yes.
history is in 2005 when I got here, that was one of the city council's discussions back then is what can we do to resolve that? And then shortly after that was Mayor Scalisi kept bringing that up as, hey, we got a big issue out there. But the total dollar figure was pretty scary on how much it was gonna cost. We didn't have the funds.
It's still
but-
scary.
It's still scary,
It's
but we only had to pay a small portion of it, which was
Correct.
good. So sometimes those priorities, we work on them, but it takes a while to save up the money to be able to afford to do those.
Exactly.
So it took a while, but we got there.
Yes.
You're welcome, 2005.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dale. Okay, next up, Joanne Gosselin, Finance Director.
I have a couple items. I just wanted to make council aware that, the state of Colorado received $36.5 million in American Rescue Act plan monies from the federal government. In September for August, they did SB 21-260 to distribute that money to the highway users tax funds. We received in September from that $17,427 unexpected monies to our highway users tax. The other item I wanted to bring up was our severance tax. Mineral tax and severance tax, they're 2 different things. The severance tax is based on the number of employees that you have in the oil industry. And of course, we all know the oil industry is not going so great. We used to get probably around 10 to 12,000 a year. Last year we got 9,541. This year we got $812. So that was significantly lower. It says there's not anybody working in the oil. The other one, the mineral tax, which we've always got, we received $13,694 on the mineral tax, which last year was $12,114. So that's still going about average and normal of what it normally is. But we did take a hit on that severance tax, which we expected to. So.
Okay, thank you. Miranda Packard, City Clerk.
Just a couple things. First of all, the Progressive 15 Fall Conference is going on this Thursday and Friday. You can still register, you don't have to register for the whole conference. If you wanna go to some of the meals or, you know, one day of workshops, you're welcome to do that. Just let me know and I'll get you registered. And then the, Hospital Foundation Gala is gonna be, the 23rd. We still have some spots available. Whoever wants to go, please let me know if you could by tomorrow, cause I just need to get names to the foundation. And then last thing is that we're gonna start, with efforts to get the packet out sooner. Give you guys more time to review, give us more time so that we're not making, you know, those date mistakes and whatnot. We have more time to review, so that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Dan Crubb, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Really the only thing I have, and I'll be bringing it to you next meeting, is Colorado has entered into an opioid settlement agreement and an MOU. I haven't fully reviewed all the documents, but essentially the state went after the big pharmacies for causing opioid. All the individual towns, it just doesn't fiscally make sense to litigate this individually, so they kind of grouped together and they signed this MOU to distribute monies throughout the state. So I'm reviewing that document, I'll present it to you next time.
So is that something, Dan, that we've got to sign off on to be part of that settlement?
Yeah, and they're asking it to be done by November 5th, so.
Okay. Okay. Monty Trent, City Administrator.
Okay, so Dan read my mind. I've got the opioid fact sheet, so we can talk about that offline. But I was just going to mention, you know, we do have that deadline, and Chief Boss is tracking it, and then Rick is tracking it, and I just had discussion with Joanne earlier before the meeting, and I think it's a good idea to do this. Get the MOU. We're not quite sure how we're gonna be able to use the funds quite at this point, but it's better to have that in place than just in case the money does come through to us. Other thing is, we did get notice of Just Transition. It's called Colorado Just Transition. That's with the looming closure or modification of the Pawnee Power Plant. We're tracking that closely, and there's an upcoming meeting on that just to provide some input. So we're tracking that. Essentially what that means is that there's a possibility of some grant funding to stimulate our local economy. And even though the power plant is out in the county, it still affects school district, library district, fire district to some degree, hospital districts. So we need to make sure that we're at the table as part of those discussions. Because if we can find other businesses or other economic development activities to help build up the county, that helps out those special districts. So we're tracking that one. A few meetings ago, council member, I'm not sure who it was, they asked about Allo Communication. Remember that discussion? Internet,
remember
somebody brought it up? Well, a council member brought it up, and then we said we'd look into it because we had discussions with them probably almost 2 years ago, and ironically, they did reach back out recently, and we've provided them some information that they were requesting. That was this week, so there might still be some interest in other internet opportunities in our community.
Should I add something too?
Yep.
So I had a meeting last week with, what's the name of it? Viero. I was like, I couldn't remember, I was about to say Verizon. Viero. They reached out to me, we had a meeting last week. They are very much interested in bringing fiber optics to neighborhoods. And so we put a big map up and talked about potential areas where their location sites are closest to where they could start. So they are very ambitious right now of bringing fiber to our city. So it's a great meeting.
awesome.
Yeah. So what that means is you typically need a franchise agreement, and so if those discussions go further along, then we'll have discussions with our city attorney. And in the past for franchise agreements, we've typically used, let's see if I remember, Ken Fellman, that sound familiar? He's supposedly like the state's leading expert on franchise agreements, and so that's who normally we would visit with. But let's see how it develops, and then we'll talk to Dan about what we would do with something like that. Next item is, had a long discussion in regards to water rates, plant investment fees, looking for Dale. So we had a lot of meeting, today with our consulting engineers. And this kind of hits a lot of different topics because the whole purpose of the plant investment fees is to ensure that we're building up the reserves that we need for the day that we decide to find more water for the community. And when we have this many homes talking about locating in brush, we have to ensure we have enough water. So the plant investment fee, that's a study that our engineers are working on right now to determine what should those plant investment fees should be. And plant investment fee is typically when you are gonna build a house, you have a tap fee, which is the physical connection, and then the plant investment fee is the cost to come onto the system. So you have two fees that you typically pay. We also have some unique things going on as well. One is the cogeneration plant. It's under Herop Power. Herop Power. Now, that's the new management group for the power block. And there are some surcharges as part of our utilities agreement with them. And in our agreement, we're allowed to, every 2 years, up the amount that we charge for surcharges. And surcharges, make sure I'm saying this right, Dale, there's your regular charges, but then when you go up to really high levels of water use, then these additional surcharges kick in, and that's really to help conserve water and keep from using too much water. So we haven't increased those in quite a while, so our engineers are looking at that as well to see what we should be charging for those surcharges, because last year our preliminary looks are saying that there was quite a bit of additional water usage. So we're gonna validate those as from our takeaway from the meeting today, just double check those. And so we gotta get that back to them so they understand how to budget in the future for their water needs. So we're working on that, and then we are planning on the city's water advisory committee board. Water advisory board to meet, and I know Rick's on it. Dan, are you still on that one?
No.
On that one? We just appointed another member, but Lorena's reached out to try and find a good time to meet. And that board, what we're gonna do is present the information to first, and then get kind of feedback from the board, then bring it to the city council. Okay, so that's on water. It's important because we're currently looking at not one, but two different opportunities for future water resources for the city. So we really need to understand those estimated costs and then where we're gonna go with our rates, okay? And then I realize council approved a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, some rate increases, but I mentioned at that time, that's the start. But then once we get some better figures, numbers, there's a good likelihood that the rates are gonna go up. And that's your monthly rates as well. But that's, we've gotta bring it back to the council for you guys to look at those, okay? And that is all I have.
Okay.
Well, I will mention, we're looking at wastewater too. The wastewater rates, because as we grow, you've got to make expansions to our wastewater treatment facility. And more importantly, I believe it's in about 4 or 5 years, the state is gonna start requiring a higher level of treatment, which means we've got to change how we operate down there and different components of the treatment facility. And unfortunately, everything we talk about in the water realm or the wastewater realm, they're always millions of dollars. So not thousands, hundreds of thousands, but everything's in millions. So good news is we've got a little bit of time. That's all I have.
Okay. Moving on to mayor and council reports. Does council have anything that we'd like to share tonight? No? No? Okay.
Rick and I are in the same boat tonight.
All right. Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting and start our work session. We have 3 items on the work session that we're going to be talking about. We'll give just a